Hello to those of you who are first-time home buyers. You may be in the process or starting to look for your new home, or maybe you've just purchased your new home. I'm going to give you some hints on how to save money leading up to the purchase and immediately after the purchase of your first-time home. So the first thing is, when you're speaking with your lender, and if your lender's not willing to entertain this, we could definitely help you with this conversation, is after you've gotten your rate quote, ask what it would cost to buy the rate down. And so buying the rate down is going to save you money, not only every month, but over the years that you're holding onto the mortgage. So you may be paying a few $1,000s in additional closing costs in points to buy the rate down, but what you're going to save each month and over the years will definitely be worth it to you, especially if you're holding on to the mortgage for, let's say, at least 4 or more years. And there's it's all math, and your loan officer should be able to help you figure out what it is that your payment will be without buying the points down, how much the points will cost, and then what your new payment would be. And there's a delta, and you divide that delta into the cost, and that should tell you how many months it will take before you break even on paying those points to buy the rate down. But if you're going to stay in the house for a while, it is the number one way as a first-time home buyer to save money. So consider that and get a couple of quotes from various lenders. The next thing is, and I know a lot of people look to get to minimize the expenses at closing. What I'm going to recommend is potentially spending more on this one thing at closing, which will save you a lot more money in the short and long term, and that is the inspection. If I would not go cheap on the inspector, I would get an inspector who has been doing this for many years, maybe has been in the construction business for years also, who really understands what he or she is looking at, and will write up an inspection report for you that can help not only identify any potential issues which could cost you money down the road, but possibly some things that the seller would need to fix on their dime instead of on your dime. All right? And maybe they have to give you money off. Let's say they find the inspector really does a good job of inspecting the roof and doesn't just use a drone, and the inspector goes up there and finds some issues and takes pictures of it. So now you may be getting a few $1,000s credit on the sale of the house at closing, which is going to be a huge advantage for you, and will be well worth the cost of this particular inspector, even if the other inspectors may have been a little bit cheaper. So again, never skip that inspection, even if the seller or the seller's agent is only going to accept quotes from people who will not inspect the house. That's when you should absolutely run away, and they've got something to hide. They just don't want to have to pay for anything that needs to be fixed, is really what it comes down to. Then the other thing is get insurance quotes. The moment you are making an offer on a house, you should be speaking with at least 3 or 4 insurance agents, and you can just take the listing that's on the multiple listing service and provide that to the insurance brokers and ask for quotes. And you want to make sure that the deductible is the same for everyone and the coverage amounts are the same for everyone. In fact, what you can do is specifically tell them what you would want. Now, usually people go for the $500 deductible, but if you should also ask, well, what would my annual premium be if I had a $1,000 deductible instead of a $500 deductible? And you're likely looking at a lower annual cost for your insurance. So shopping for the insurance, you should start, like I said, as soon as you're making an offer on your house, rather than get the phone call from your mortgage loan officer, 10 days or 2 weeks before closing. Oh, we need your insurance coverage like right away, and now you're scrambling just to get anything. So I would do that. In fact, even after you purchase your house, maybe let some time go by. You can always continuously shop for better homeowners insurance. And remember, you're paying a year up front at closing, so if you do change your insurance, you should be going back to get a refund for the balance of the year that you did not use. Another thing is where you're going to save money after you close now is on your utilities. So electric, water, you should pay very close attention to what is turned on and where your energy drain can be. Start turning off devices that maybe the other homeowner had on that you maybe don't need. See what's on timers. See if there's lights on. Put lights on timers if you can. Maybe you've got lights that come on outside, a porch light or something, and is blaring all night long. These are all things that just sound very simple, but people don't pay attention to. And when you go around the house and you start to make a lot of these changes, it collectively adds up to a nice little savings each month. So the same thing with water. You may check for leaks. Don't just have, if you've got underground sprinklers, don't just let them go all the time. Put them on a smart schedule so that way you're not just wasting water. And I mentioned motion sensors because a lot of people just haphazardly leave lights on in the house, maybe in the laundry room or the basement or wherever it is, something that you frequently go into and people are leaving the lights on. If you just put a motion sensor switch on there, that could save you some money, changing out the light bulbs to LED where it makes sense. It only makes sense to do that in the rooms where you have the lights on all of the time. It does not make sense to do that, to spend the money on a bulb for a bulb to replace a bulb that you rarely use. Then you're actually losing money in that situation. The first thing I would do too, moving into a new house, is add insulation. Add more insulation around the house, spray seal all the penetrations from the ceiling into the attic. I'm telling you, I did this myself, and it immediately changed the temperature in the rooms to something that's more comfortable, which also meant that we started to spend less on electricity for the AC and gas for the heat. So another way for first-time home buyers to save money. And then the last thing is get yourself, if you've got a lawn and your neighbors may be paying a landscaper, get yourself a cheap lawnmower, maybe on Facebook Marketplace, $150, cut the grass yourself. Do that as much as you can, save yourself. It's going to save you quite a bit of money each month. And if you do all these things, you will find that it's going to be more comfortable, your bills will be more comfortable, and you'll be able to afford your house even more than you originally thought. If you do have any other questions, I'll answer them in the comments, and I would appreciate a little thumbs up if you felt this was helpful at all. Appreciate you watching, and we will see you next time.